Hello everyone, this is VG Master 2, and I know this isn't the video about Let's Go that was supposed to come out before the last video about the game, but I feel that this is important and I want to get this updated before Gen 8 actually gets announced. As the title says, I'm going to be explaining some things that connects a certain pair of video games that exist for some reason to the next anything in the Pokemon franchise, and how it's all gonna connect to the future of the series. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of all this, though, I want to focus on Let's Go more for a little bit. So, apparently, probably in an attempt to cause more damage, Junichi Masuda got really pissy and said Let's Go is totally a main series game. Well, no. But let me explain. What's happening here is what I'm just gonna call cursed child syndrome. To put this into perspective, a few years ago, J.K. Rowling published another Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. The book was said by the fans to be absolute shit and hardly qualified as an actual Harry Potter book. However, despite this, J.K. Rowling says the book is canon. Despite that, the fans are collectively giving that a fuck you and saying no it's not. This should sound familiar. It's exactly what's happening here. Game Freak is trying to convince us that it's a main series game when it isn't, for many more reasons that I go over in the upcoming video that was supposed to come out before this one, and not many people are falling for it. The only people who agree are basically the people who would suck Game Freak's dick on command without a second thought. It's funny, really. All the other fans think it's a spin-off, and even the casuals who the game is apparently for think it's a spin-off as well. Since that's the case, pretty much everything Masuda says is null and void, especially since this is apparently his last game, probably because he got kicked out for actually going through with this game. I mean, it's a money-milking tactic, alienating everyone in attempt to do the exact opposite. Fucking genius. And while people may think the game succeeded, that's a hard maybe. It's quite complicated. See, when the games came out, they sold 3 million in the first 3 days. For a hot second, and I mean a hot fucking second, Smash Bros. Destroyed this not even a month later, it was the fastest selling Switch game. Yeah, that's only because Odyssey and Breath of the Wild came out when no one had a Switch. Or it's a lie and it didn't sell that much. It's a reach, but I wouldn't be surprised. And still, it's only 3 million. Sure, it may be impressive that a semi-remake spin-off got 3 million, but that's only as good as the main series' true remake's first 3 days. Compared to Gen starter games, it pales. Sun and Moon sold 10 fucking million in its first 3 days. Yes, more people had 3DS's, but well over 3 million people could have bought Let's Go since more than that amount of people own Switches, but they didn't. And in this situation, that's important. Even now, Let's Go has apparently sold over 10 million. However, it's still under Smash and Odyssey and Zelda. It's also still under every actual main series game since X and Y, excluding Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon by only 2 million, and including Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. For an over 6-year-old game to still be doing better just kind of puts things into perspective. But it's not just the sales of Let's Go that's important. The future sales of the first Gen 8 games are just as, if not more, important. Here are a few potential situations. If Gen 8 sales are a lot higher, Game Freak could see it as Let's Go boosted sales for it and take it as a win. Or they could take it as a loss because many more people clearly liked Gen 8 than Let's Go. If the sales are lower than Let's Go, it could be seen as a win, since Let's Go sold more, they might think it's better, or a loss because it didn't bring in as many fans as Game Freak wanted. There's also a very fine line if the games sell with about a 1 to 2 million difference of each other. They may think Let's Go is a failure since it didn't boost sales and that community interest was at an all-time low. Speaking of the community, this leads me into my main points. Game Freak basically destroyed the community, or shall I say, revealed people's true colors. Quite a few people in the community are apologists who are very against diversity of opinion for some reason. These people actually have gained pretty big followings somehow and are effectively brainwashing easily influenced people to think the same way, thus creating more apologists who, as I said before, will suck Game Freak's dick with no question, even when they put out actual shit. This makes things tough because just a little while ago, a fuck ton of people were shitting on people who didn't like Let's Go. So the problem is, how is anyone supposed to respect each other after that? Are we just supposed to pretend that all that never happened and be all chummy with each other for Gen 8? Well, sure, maybe, but then they're just gonna get pissy the moment you say you don't like Let's Go, unless they somehow actually mentally matured, which in this day and age is rare as fuck. The community just can't go back. It's gonna be fucked like this forever unless it literally blows up on itself and needs to be rebuilt from scratch. And finally, let's not forget that Let's Go did not prepare fucking anyone for shit. You get rid of abilities, held items, the usual battling and catching method, and over 3/4 of the entire Pokemon roster? I don't know who the fuck you're fooling, but you're not preparing them for Gen 8. You're leading them astray. You think people were pissed that Let's Go exists? Imagine how pissed all the anticipating consumers will be when they find out Game Freak almost completely lied to them. So, yeah, things are getting pretty complicated between these two games. Personally, I'm legitimately dreading the announcement just because I can fucking feel everyone pretending to be chummy with each other when they're not. But whatever, it's literally inevitable. Anyway, I'm VG Master 2, and I hope to see you next time, which should hopefully be the last time I ever talk about that pile of shit again.